Hello, my name is David Firth. In my passport it says that I'm a management consultant. And people say to me, well, what is that then? And I say, well, in my particular sort of management consultancy I do organisational development. And they look at me as if that hasn't really answered the question. And they say, well, what do you actually do, David? And I say, well, my mission is to co-create with my clients the next generation of healthy organisations, the next generation of healthy and compelling places to work. I think one of the things to do is to look at what I call the default conversations. It's like, you've got your iPad there, it comes from the box with a default setting. It's the factory setting, it's the way the computer's set up right from the box. And so too, we have default conversations in organizations. One of my experiences is that if I can bring any group of people in any industry, in any organization together, eventually they will start talking about the same things. I call them the default conversations. One of those default conversations is we need to sort out roles and responsibilities. I don't think I've ever met an organisation who at some point hasn't wanted to have the conversation, we need to sort out roles and responsibilities. Or eventually they will start talking about we don't have enough resources. Or they will start talking about we need more and better leadership, and so on and so forth. And one of the default conversations is about it's always somebody else's fault. There's always somebody else in the organisation who isn't doing it fast enough, well enough, to the highest standards, and they need to change first. And that, for me, is the most powerful, most persistent of the default conversations. There's always somebody out there who needs to change before we do, and when they change, then we'll be great, we'll be able to perform, and so on. So, I mean, the first thing is to recognise these default conversations. The opposite of these default conversations are intentional, creative, generative conversations. The opposite of the conversation around blaming somebody else and trying to fix somebody else and trying to change somebody else first. The opposite of that conversation is, how am I accountable for what's going on around here? How have I contributed to the situation we are in? It's one of the things I've worked out in my life, and I'm talking not here in terms of organisations and stuff, but in my life in general. I cannot change other people. There is no amount of explaining to my wife, Kerry, that she ought to do it differently or better that will have her change. It does not work. And if it doesn't work in my personal life, why on earth would I think it's going to work in organisational life? So first of all, we need to look at the situation and say, how am I contributing to this situation? And also look at the situation and say, what am I committed to creating here? And how might I do that? And then I can bring other people into that conversation, but not in terms of fixing them, but creating something great together. Great. So, thank you for listening. If you'd like to get in touch with me and talk through an issue or challenge that you're facing at the moment, then please follow the link and send me an email and we can set up a free 20-minute consultation. Happy to talk with you.